Let me give you a quick equation. More bike equals less car, which equals less emissions, which is not only good for the environment, but also good for your wallet, because the annual average cost of running a car now exceeds 15,000 bucks. Bloody cost of living crisis, huh? But you might be like a lot of people, a bit nervous to put your helmet on because your town or city just ain't designed for two-wheeled human-powered vehicles. I caught up with Unley Bug, or the Unley Bicycle User Group.
They work alongside the local council to improve the first suburb south of Adelaide's cycling infrastructure.
Without the excessive use of lycra.
Act local!
You're thinking, how did you fit a videographer onto the back of the bike whilst he filmed two people having a conversation while riding? She must have got a cargo bike where he sat in the front filming the two of you chatting. It's a very conveniently posed question, because that's exactly what we did. Whoa, here we go. Look out for the agapanthus, mate. Just between you and me, this is the funnest moment I've ever had in my life.
I'm glad you're not scared. The rest of us are terrified.
Take it away, Dylan and Daniel from Unley Bug.
We're really pushing for improved walking and cycling for the community. Drivers v cyclists has been going on forever. It seems too polarising and we seem to just butt heads and not get anywhere. If we can get safe cycling infrastructure, which really connects the places that people want to be and go to, then that's kind of perfect.
You're not trying to get rid of cars completely, are you?
As much as we want more people cycling, it's not necessarily a direct attack on people who drive. Making cycling like a legitimate mode of transport and just a pleasant way to get places. You don't need to be super fast, you don't need to be on some fancy $15,000 bike.
Or a bike where you've got a videographer in the front seat all the time.
Also just that sort of incidental exercise, so to speak, like 5K commute to work or to the pub or whatever. It's like, gets the heart rate up a little bit, get to see some cool places. And once you experience like riding on these like safe, separated bikeways, it's just so pleasant. Like not having to think about traffic and
traffic is something that I had to think about only 5 minutes up the road. We now have to jump off a cycleway and then head onto the road. And I tell you what, I feel significantly less safe. Especially with you in the front there, JB, but still, like, it is so much nicer to ride on a cycleway, no cars, no nothing, with a bit of green foliage either side, and then you've got middle-aged mums in their Isuzu MUXs pumping alongside, and I don't know when, as well cars to here, you don't know when they're going to open up a door or whatever and get taken out.
And the whole thing of like, you know, the old saying of like, you know, you complain about traffic when you're in a car. It's like, you are the traffic.
Yeah, yeah. The less of you in a car situation, the more you're gonna,
It's so obvious to people who ride, but I think some people will sit in a car their whole life and be like, oh, I'm sick of this traffic. It's like, well, you don't have to be a part of it. Especially if you live in Unley and you're only going into the city. Like,
what's some of the wins that Unley Bug have had over the years, and how has that come about?
Big parts of it would probably be Rugby Porter bikeway.
This is probably one of the best and most popular bikeways in Unley. It's not a separated bikeway, it's just a network of quiet streets that have these filters, which we're going to ride past later, where by they stop cars going through, but you can still walk and cycle. This is called a mode filter. Essentially it filters out the big thing, so cars, you can see over there, they have to divert around, but it lets people walking and cycling go on straight through. Immediately more pleasant and safer. Council uses this as an opportunity to get trees, plants, green space. Sometimes they even put in benches, so it's ticking a lot of boxes.
You're not trying to completely take over the road and give cars one skinny lane.
That is a huge point, because it can seem daunting, especially if you're starting from nothing. You're like, oh, to put in a bike lane separated, that's just a huge political task. But the real way to get change, I think, is you do a little bit that's probably the most of a sticking point, and you improve that. And that's what the council has done here. They just continuously chip away, something like this here, something like that over there. And over time, suddenly, that's how you get progress.
You touched on climate change, but how much does that like affect your decisions and your passion, I guess, for what you're doing at Unley Bug?
Replacing one commute a week, instead of having to add a whole activity, planting trees or something to be better for the planet, which is fantastic, obviously do that, but just doing less of a bad thing is a great way to approach environmental issues.
Yeah, just a little lifestyle change.
Yeah, try once a week, and I think sure enough you'll probably enjoy it and be like, actually I prefer this. And then it just goes hand in hand with sort of reducing emissions, which is fantastic.
I like, you've said incidental exercise, it's almost incidental environmentalism as well.
Getting people involved with cycling, obviously it's a bit of a build it and they will come situation. Like, we need the infrastructure to inspire people to ride, because as I said, the majority of people who don't ride is because they're just concerned about safety, and which is fair enough. It needs to be addressed, and if we're going to be serious about approaching climate change and mitigating the effects of transport emissions, we need to build this infrastructure to promote cycling and encourage people to be a part of it.
Cities like Amsterdam and akin, like a lot of European cities, the cycling's to the front. Is that what you're sort of aiming for? 10 years time, cycling's more prevalent because you've done some great work in the community. What happens then?
When we look to these places, you know, Amsterdam's often the first place we reference because it's such a mecca of cycling.
Yeah.
I think something that needs to be addressed is that, like, it wasn't always that way. It wasn't until kind of the 60s and 70s where they really started pushing for cycling infrastructure, and there were so many road fatalities with pedestrians being hit by cars. So it's also a great opportunity to rethink the way we move around our cities, and the social and environmental benefits that come with cycling and walking. So even if people aren't necessarily on board with the environmental aspect of it, just the social benefits of strengthening your community and being more connected to your community and knowing your neighbours and seeing your friends when you're riding and dropping in at a pub or whatever on the Friday commute home. Like, there's so many benefits to it. So I think the ideal thing would be, over time, cycling will be hopefully the preferred method of transport, just because once people start to experience how nice it can be, and I think that is only through well thought out infrastructure.
How do they get that conversation started with their council?
You probably know from being in your local area where, if you're walking and cycling, where there's just a little spot that could be better, and you can see in your mind a way that it could be improved. And I think that's probably just a real tangible way, and it's not just for cycling but also for this broader topic of environmental action. Just like, there's a pinch point, I think we can do a little change to make it better. Talk to your councillors, reach out to them. The councillors are there to listen to the needs of the community, and one feedback we get from the council is that they want to make change but they need the community to ask for it. So ask to fix that little problem, ask them to do better cycling. Chances are you'll have a councillor or a member of the council transport team who is switched on to what you're after. They just need the community to ask for it.
If you know another local legend doing cool things to protect the natural world, comment their name down below and I'll go catch up with them, have a chat. See ya.